Have you ever had one of those moments when it feels like your entire world is collapsing around you? The plans you carefully made begin to fall apart. People disappoint you. Bad news arrives without warning. Your mind races with fear, anxiety, and uncertainty. You try to hold everything together, but the harder you try, the more out of control everything seems to become. And in those moments, a terrifying question appears. What if I can't handle this? Maybe you're living through that moment right now. Maybe there are problems in your family, pressure at work, financial struggles, heartbreak, loneliness, or fears about the future. Maybe every day feels like you're carrying a weight nobody else can see. If that's you, then stay with me. Because what you're about to discover has helped people survive wars, betrayals, loss, failure, and unimaginable hardship for over 2,000 years. It comes from an ancient philosophy practiced by emperors, warriors, and ordinary people facing extraordinary challenges. A philosophy called Stoicism. And today, you're going to learn one simple but powerful shift that can help you stay calm when everything around you feels completely out of control. Not because life suddenly becomes easy. Not because your problems magically disappear. But because you become stronger than the chaos. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. I choose calm. That single sentence might become more important than you realize. Now let's begin. Imagine you're standing in the middle of a violent storm. The wind is screaming. The rain is crashing down. Trees are bending. Everything around you is shaking. Most people spend their lives trying to stop the storm. They want perfect circumstances. Perfect relationships. Perfect finances. Perfect health. Perfect certainty. They believe they can finally be calm once everything around them becomes calm. But Stoicism teaches something completely different. The Stoics understood a truth that most people spend their entire lives resisting. The storm is never going away. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be challenges. There will always be things beyond your control. And the moment you truly accept this truth, something remarkable happens. You stop fighting reality. You stop exhausting yourself trying to control what was never yours to control. And for the first time, you begin to find peace. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and emperor of Rome, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Read that again. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Think about how much suffering comes from forgetting this. Someone criticizes you. You cannot control their words. But you can control your response. A company lays you off. You cannot control their decision. But you can control what you do next. A relationship ends. You cannot control another person's choices. But you can control how you carry yourself through the pain. The Stoics divided life into two categories. Things you can control. And things you cannot. Simple. But life-changing. You can control your actions. You can control your effort. You can control your attitude. You can control your character. You can control your choices. But you cannot control other people. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control the past. You cannot control random events. Most anxiety comes from trying to control the second category. And that's where the trap begins. Think about it. How many nights have you lost sleep worrying about something that never happened? How many hours have you spent replaying conversations that cannot be changed? How much energy have you wasted trying to make people understand you, appreciate you, or love you? The Stoics would say, you're spending your life guarding a door that doesn't belong to you. And that's why you're exhausted. But there is another way. A way that creates calm even in chaos. A way that allows you to stand firm while everything around you shakes. Let me tell you a story. A sailor was once caught in a violent storm at sea. Massive waves crashed against his boat. The sky turned black. Lightning split the darkness. The passengers panicked. They screamed. They cried. They imagined the worst. Yet the sailor remained calm. Someone asked him, Aren't you afraid? The sailor smiled and replied, I cannot control the storm, but I can control how I sail through it. That is Stoicism. The storm isn't your enemy. The storm is your teacher. Because every challenge reveals something. Every setback reveals something. Every hardship reveals something. They reveal who you are. When life is easy, anyone can appear calm. Anyone can appear confident. Anyone can appear strong. But when pressure arrives, character is exposed. The Stoics didn't pray for easier lives. They trained for stronger minds. And that's a completely different way of living. Today, many people spend their lives avoiding discomfort. They avoid difficult conversations. They avoid challenges. They avoid rejection. They avoid failure. They avoid uncertainty. But in doing so, they also avoid growth. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, said, The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Think about that. The obstacle isn't preventing your growth. The obstacle is creating it. The challenge isn't blocking your path. The challenge is the path. And this is where most people miss one of the most powerful secrets of Stoicism. Every difficult moment contains two stories. The first story is the event itself. The second story is the meaning you attach to it. And the second story is usually what causes the suffering. You lose your job. The event happens. Then your mind says, My life is over. You experience rejection. The event happens. Then your mind says, I'm not good enough. You face failure. The event happens. Then your mind says, I'll never succeed. The Stoics understood that events themselves are often neutral. What creates emotional suffering is the interpretation. Your mind becomes a storyteller. And sometimes that storyteller is lying to you. It tells you the future is hopeless. It tells you disaster is certain. It tells you you're weak. It tells you you'll never recover. But history proves otherwise. You have survived difficult days before. You have survived pain before. You have survived disappointment before. You have survived losses you once thought would destroy you. And yet here you are. Still standing. Still breathing. Still moving forward. Never underestimate the strength you've already demonstrated. Because your survival is evidence of your resilience. And there's something else you need to hear. The calmest people aren't those with the easiest lives. The calmest people are those who have learned where to place their attention. Most people focus on what could go wrong. Stoics focus on what can be done right now. Most people live in imaginary futures. Stoics live in the present moment. Most people spend their energy worrying. Stoics spend their energy acting. And this difference changes everything. Because worry creates weakness. Action creates power. Every single time. When your mind starts spiraling, ask yourself, what is within my control right now? Not tomorrow. Not next year. Right now. Maybe it's taking one step. Maybe it's making one phone call. Maybe it's having one conversation. Maybe it's simply getting out of bed. Whatever it is, focus there. Because calm is built through action. Not overthinking. Not worrying. Not endless analysis. Action. And soon, you'll discover something surprising. The more you focus on what you can control, the less frightening the uncontrollable becomes. But there's another Stoic lesson that most people resist at first. And it may be the very lesson you need most today. Because what if the thing you're trying so desperately to avoid is actually preparing you for the person you're meant to become? Stay with me. Because this idea has the power to completely transform how you see every hardship in your life. Think about some of the strongest people you know. Not the loudest. Not the richest. Not the most famous. The strongest. The people who remain steady when others panic. The people who stay calm when circumstances become difficult. The people whose presence alone makes others feel safe. How did they become that way? It wasn't because life was always kind to them. It wasn't because everything went according to plan. It wasn't because they avoided suffering. Quite the opposite. They became strong because they walked through storms and learned they could survive them. They faced uncertainty and discovered that fear did not have to control them. They experienced loss and realized that even heartbreak could not destroy their spirit. This is one of the most misunderstood truths about life. The challenges you face are not merely happening to you. They are shaping you. Every difficulty is training. Every setback is preparation. Every obstacle is an opportunity to develop qualities that comfort could never teach. Patience, discipline, courage, wisdom, resilience. These qualities are not learned in easy times. They are forged in difficult ones. A sword is strengthened by fire. Character is strengthened by adversity. This is why Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What stands in the way becomes the way." Read those words slowly. The obstacle isn't separate from the path. The obstacle is the path. The challenge isn't delaying your growth. The challenge is creating your growth. The hardship isn't preventing your transformation. The hardship is your transformation. Imagine for a moment that every problem in your life carried a hidden gift. Not an obvious gift. Not a pleasant gift. But a gift nonetheless. What if your disappointments were teaching detachment? What if your failures were teaching humility? What if your uncertainty was teaching trust? What if your struggles were teaching strength? Suddenly, life looks very different. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That single shift changes everything. Because victims ask why. Stoics ask what now. Victims become trapped in the past. Stoics focus on the next step. Victims wait for circumstances to improve. Stoics improve themselves regardless of circumstances. And that's where real power begins. Not when life changes. When you change. Let me tell you something that nobody talks about enough. The human mind is addicted to certainty. It wants guarantees. It wants clear answers. It wants to know exactly how everything will unfold. But life doesn't work that way. Life is uncertain by nature. No one knows what tomorrow brings. No one knows what challenges may arrive. No one knows which opportunities may appear unexpectedly. Yet most people spend their lives demanding certainty from an uncertain world. And because they never receive it, they remain anxious. The Stoics took a different approach. Instead of demanding certainty, they developed adaptability. Instead of needing guarantees, they built confidence in themselves. Instead of trusting circumstances, they trusted their character. This distinction is enormous. Many people place their confidence in external things. Their job. Their money. Their relationships. Their reputation. But external things can change overnight. A market crash. A betrayal. A sickness. A sudden loss. And if your peace depends entirely on external conditions, your peace will always be fragile. Stoicism teaches you to build your peace somewhere deeper. Inside yourself. Because there is one thing life cannot take from you. Your ability to choose your response. Viktor Frankl, though not a Stoic philosopher, expressed a deeply Stoic truth when he said, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose. That space changes everything. Someone insults you. There is a space. Bad news arrives. There is a space. Fear appears. There is a space. In that space lives your freedom." Most people react automatically. Stoics respond deliberately. Most people become slaves to emotion. Stoics become observers of emotion. This doesn't mean Stoics don't feel sadness. It doesn't mean they never experience fear. It doesn't mean they become cold or emotionless. That's a common misunderstanding. Stoics feel deeply. They simply refuse to let emotions become dictators. Imagine your emotions as weather. Some days are sunny. Some days are stormy. Some days are cloudy. Some days are calm. The problem comes when people confuse the weather with who they are. They say, "I feel fear, therefore I am weak. I feel sadness, therefore I am broken. I feel anxiety, therefore something is wrong with me." But emotions are visitors. They come. They stay. They leave. You are the observer. You are the sky. The weather changes. The sky remains. And when you truly understand this, something remarkable happens. You stop fighting your emotions. You stop fearing them. You stop running from them. Instead, you allow them to pass through you, like clouds moving across the sky. This creates a kind of calm that cannot be shaken easily. Because you're no longer terrified of what you feel. You're no longer panicking about panic. You're no longer anxious about anxiety. You understand that emotions are temporary. But character endures. And here's where the deeper lesson begins. Most suffering doesn't come from pain itself. It comes from resistance. We resist reality. We resist uncertainty. We resist disappointment. We resist change. We resist loss. Yet reality continues regardless. Imagine trying to stop the ocean with your hands. Impossible. The harder you push, the more exhausted you become. This is what many people do psychologically. They fight reality. They argue with facts. They demand that life be different than it is. And this creates tremendous suffering. The Stoics practiced something called acceptance. Not passive surrender. Not giving up. Acceptance. The ability to see reality clearly. The ability to acknowledge what is. The ability to stop fighting facts. Because you cannot solve a problem you refuse to accept. You cannot adapt to reality while denying it. You cannot find peace while arguing with what already exists. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is clarity. And clarity creates power. Imagine receiving difficult news. Perhaps a relationship has ended. Perhaps a dream has collapsed. Perhaps circumstances have changed unexpectedly. Most people immediately enter resistance. This shouldn't be happening. This isn't fair. I can't believe this. Days become weeks. Weeks become months. Sometimes years. And they remain trapped. Not because of the event itself, but because they refuse to accept its existence. The Stoic asks a different question. Now that this has happened, what is the wisest response? Notice the difference. One question creates suffering. The other creates progress. One keeps you trapped. The other moves you forward. And moving forward matters. Because life does not reward those who remain frozen. Life rewards those who adapt. Nature itself teaches this lesson. The strongest tree is not always the biggest. The strongest tree is often the one that bends with the wind. Flexibility creates survival. Adaptability creates resilience. The same is true for you. The more rigid your expectations become, the more life will frustrate you. The more adaptable you become, the calmer you remain. And there is another lesson hidden here. One that could completely transform how you face difficult times. Because what if the chaos surrounding you is not evidence that your life is falling apart? What if it's evidence that your life is changing? What if what feels like destruction is actually preparation? What if the chapter you're trying desperately to hold onto has already ended? And what if something new is trying to begin? Most people fear endings. But every ending creates space. Space for growth. Space for wisdom. Space for transformation. Space for a new version of you. The version that has not yet been revealed. The version being shaped right now through every challenge you face. And in the next part, you'll discover the powerful Stoic practice that can make you emotionally unshakable even when life becomes completely unpredictable. A practice so powerful that ancient Stoics used it to prepare themselves for loss, uncertainty, and adversity without becoming overwhelmed. And once you understand it, you'll never look at your fears the same way again. The practice is called negative visualization. At first, it sounds strange, even uncomfortable. Why would anyone intentionally think about difficult possibilities? Why would anyone imagine loss, failure, setbacks, or uncertainty? Because the Stoics discovered something most people never realize. The things we avoid thinking about often control us the most. Fear grows in darkness. Fear grows in avoidance. Fear grows when we refuse to face it. But when we look directly at what frightens us, something remarkable happens. Its power begins to shrink. The Stoics would occasionally imagine losing the things they valued. Not because they wanted those things to disappear. Not because they were pessimists. But because they understood a profound truth. Everything in life is temporary. Every possession. Every opportunity. Every relationship. Every season. Every moment. And when you truly understand this, gratitude becomes deeper. You stop taking people for granted. You stop taking time for granted. You stop assuming that tomorrow is guaranteed. You become fully present. Most people only appreciate something after it is gone. The Stoics trained themselves to appreciate it while it was still here. Imagine waking up tomorrow and seeing your loved ones as if it were the first time. Imagine viewing your opportunities with fresh eyes. Imagine treating each ordinary day as a gift rather than an entitlement. Your entire perspective changes. Suddenly, you're not constantly focused on what is missing. You're grateful for what exists. And gratitude is one of the most powerful antidotes to anxiety. An anxious mind focuses on what could be lost. A grateful mind focuses on what already exists. One creates fear. The other creates peace. And peace is not found in having everything. Peace is found in appreciating what you have. The Stoics also understood another powerful truth. You suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think about that. How many times have you worried endlessly about something that never happened? How many sleepless nights have been caused by imaginary futures? How many fears have existed only in your mind? Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And he was right. Your mind creates movies. Worst-case scenarios. Disasters. Catastrophes. It predicts failure before failure arrives. It predicts rejection before rejection occurs. It predicts defeat before the battle even begins. And most of those predictions never become real. Yet people suffer from them anyway. This is why Stoicism teaches you to return to the present. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Not next year. Right now. The present moment is where your power exists. The present moment is where your life exists. The present moment is where your choices exist. Anxiety lives in the future. Regret lives in the past. Strength lives in the present. Ask yourself, what problem exists right now? Not the imagined problem. Not the feared problem. The actual problem. Most of the time, you'll discover that this moment is far more manageable than the future your mind has invented. And that realization creates calm. Real calm. The kind that doesn't depend on circumstances. The kind that remains steady during uncertainty. The kind that allows you to breathe when others panic. The kind that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary examples of resilience. Because ultimately, Stoicism is not about controlling life. It's about mastering yourself. You cannot control every event. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control every challenge. But you can control your character. You can control your integrity. You can control your effort. You can control your courage. You can control your response. And that is enough. More than enough. Because when you master yourself, circumstances lose much of their power over you. The world may become chaotic, but you remain centered. People may become unpredictable, but you remain steady. The future may remain uncertain, but you remain calm. This is the strength Marcus Aurelius possessed while leading an empire through wars, plagues, and crises. This is the strength Epictetus possessed despite living part of his life as a slave. This is the strength countless men and women have discovered throughout history. And this strength is available to you. Right now. Not someday. Not when your problems disappear. Not when life becomes easier. Now. Because calm is not the absence of problems. Calm is the presence of inner strength. And inner strength is built one choice at a time. One thought at a time. One response at a time. Every challenge gives you a choice. Will you panic? Or will you pause? Will you complain? Or will you adapt? Will you surrender your peace? Or will you protect it? The answer to those questions gradually becomes your destiny. Because your life is not shaped only by what happens to you. It is shaped by how you respond to what happens. That response is where your power lives. That response is where your freedom lives. That response is where your transformation begins. Maybe right now you're facing uncertainty. Maybe you're carrying burdens nobody else sees. Maybe you're struggling silently. Maybe you're exhausted from trying to keep everything together. If so, hear this clearly. You are stronger than you think. You have survived every difficult day you've ever faced. You have endured challenges that once seemed impossible. You have carried pain and still continued forward. You have fallen and risen again. And if you've done it before, you can do it again. The storm you're facing today is not the end of your story. It is a chapter. A difficult chapter perhaps. A painful chapter perhaps. But not the final chapter. The future version of you is already being built through what you're experiencing now. Every challenge is adding another layer of strength. Every setback is adding another layer of wisdom. Every hardship is adding another layer of resilience. One day, you will look back on this season, and you will realize something incredible. The thing that felt like it was breaking you was actually building you. The thing that felt like the end was preparing a new beginning. The thing that felt unbearable revealed how strong you truly were. So when everything around you feels out of control, remember this. You do not need to control everything. You only need to control yourself. You do not need certainty about the future. You only need courage for today. You do not need the storm to stop. You only need to learn how to stand firm within it. Because the strongest person is not the one who controls the world. The strongest person is the one who remains calm while the world cannot be controlled. And perhaps that's why the Stoics continue to inspire millions of people centuries later. Not because they promised an easy life, but because they showed us how to become unshakable in a difficult one. Before you leave, if this message spoke to you, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may need these words today. And most importantly, leave a comment below. I control my response. Those 4 words contain a power that can change your life. Because every time chaos appears, every time fear rises, every time uncertainty knocks at your door, you will remember where your strength truly lives. Not in circumstances, not in other people, not in guarantees, but within you. And as you move forward from this moment, carry this final thought with you. The storm may continue. The winds may rage. The world may remain uncertain. But deep within you exists a place that no chaos can touch. A place stronger than fear. A place calmer than anxiety. A place wiser than panic. A place that has been there all along. Find that place. Protect that place. Live from that place. And no matter what happens around you, you will never truly be out of control. Because the greatest victory in life is not conquering the world. It is conquering yourself. And that victory begins today.